YB stays on your neck.
Yo, my dons, make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and obviously hit the bell for notifications. Now, I've got to say, I have a go at the press all the time, but the level of journalism here is completely shocking. So, toot obviously, on this lovely Saturday morning, your boy YB wakes up, checks the news, types in Anthony Joshua into Google News, and I see a few articles, as you can see on your screen now, titled Anthony Joshua rematch dates confirmed. I think, bang, nice, something juicy to talk on. That was from the Daily Star. I see another one from the Sun. Joshua vs Ruiz rematch dates confirmed by Eddie Hearn. Bang, I'm sitting here, my chops is salivating. Can't wait to see when the date is and whatnot on the venue. Anyway, get into the article, Daily Star. And it says, fight could take place in either UK or USA. You what? I could have sworn the title was, Anthony Joshua rematch dates confirmed. Fight could take place in either UK or USA. We knew this 4 weeks ago, seriously, no word of a lie. In the post-fight press conference, I'm pretty sure someone said, where will the rematch be? And Eddie Hearn said, it's going to be in the UK or the USA. I can't stand these. Now, people criticise me for clickbait and whatever. I never post a story that's just pure crap, pure rubbish. Confirmed. There's not one bit's confirmed about this. Not even a bit of it. And it gets worse when you go into the actual body of the article, as we'll do now. It says here, look, mad stuff. And Joshua's promoter Eddie Hearn has now confirmed that the clash will take place on either November 29th, December 7th, or December 14th. Bear in mind, this article was titled, it's been confirmed. What, 3 dates? You might as well, you know what, you might as well just say every single date in the year. Or you might as well say the whole fourth quarter's a possibility. 3 damn dates. I guess the only good thing you could take from it is, at least we know at least we can be certain within a 2-week period. So maybe that's not so bad. Whilst the date's completely up in the air, we do know actually, to some degree of certainty, well, we do, certainly, it will be within the first 2 weeks of December. So in a way, maybe I'm being too critical. It just frustrates me when people talk complete crap about dates being confirmed when you've got 3 damn dates. Let's see what the Sun said as well. And I'm going to give my analysis on it, but I just thought it was funny to go over what they're talking about. Yeah, 29th, 7th, or the 14th. So pretty much any day in November or December, whilst we're at it. And the venues. So I don't even know how to really do this video, if I'm honest with you, because UK or USA, they got Cardiff, they got Tottenham, they got Wembley, and then they got the whole USA venues as well. MSG, no doubt. Although I guess we can be pretty sure if it does happen in the US, it will be at US MSG, which it does say here. I think it's between the UK and MSG. Now within the UK, we've got the Cardiff, and where else is the other one? Well, it looks like it's going to be Cardiff on its own. It appears. Let's read this quickly. Hearn has revealed that the famous MSG in New York and the 74,500 seater Principality Stadium in Cardiff are being considered for the highly anticipated encounter. If Joshua, 29, decides to take on Ruiz at MSG again, the battle will take place on November 29th or December 7th. And should AJ choose the Welsh capital to stage his blockbuster fight, the 2 fighters will square off on December 14th. So actually, whilst I started this video quite critical, we do have a degree of certainty here. Let's talk about what we do know. We do know it will be on the first 2 weeks of December, November 29th, December 7th, and December 14th. What else do we know? I'll tell you what we do know is, if it's at Cardiff, it will be on December 14th. And if it's in America, MSG, it will be 29th or the 7th. Now, that means basically we're down to two venues. It's either Cardiff or MSG. Bang. Lovely. Bang tidy. Now, Cardiff, I'm not really bothered. I never really go to boxing fights. In fact, I've never been to a boxing fight. So it doesn't make a scrap of difference to me where it is. But I'm in two minds, as I have been since the start of this business. Bottom line is for me, listen, I feel Joshua, not so much for home benefit for me, I just think for the UK fans, bearing in mind the UK fans have supported and turned Joshua into the star he is today, I think he owes it to them to come back to the UK and sell out a big arena there and get this one back. And then, this is what I've been saying for the longest time, people keep saying, oh no, he needs to go and right the wrong, and I agree to an extent. However, I think what's a smarter idea is, from Hearn and AJ's perspective, come back to the UK, beat Ruiz in the UK, and it's 1-1, and then I'd be a true man and offer him a third fight and say, you know what, I beat you in the UK, you beat me in the US, now this next one will go back to MSG. Or even if AJ's feeling really risky or feels really confident, go to Mexico and whoop him there. Because that's something Floyd Mayweather made a huge, well, they called it Cinco de Mayweather. Yeah, that May holiday for, well, that May Mexican holiday. Mayweather made his back on beating Mexican fighters on Cinco de Mayweather. So with that in mind, if AJ beats Ruiz in the UK and then goes to Mexico and beats him, that there will be a much bigger statement than just beating Ruiz at MSG. That will be proper muggins, that will be. Let's get it straight now. If AJ beats him in the UK and then flies to Mexico and beats him again, that will be muggins.com. Yeah? That's what we do know. So I think that's a smart idea. People keep banging on about, oh, he needs to go to MSG now. Why? Because even if he goes to MSG now and beats Ruiz, it's still only 1-1. So what's the point in that? And then what will happen is, let's say AJ does beat him in MSG, and they do decide to do a third fight, they'll all say, oh look, he's coming back to the UK now because he's scared of it. Nah, beat him in the UK now, and then go to Mexico or the US in the third fight. Now I'm not even sure, I'm speculating now, I'm not even sure there is a third fight. I'm pretty sure how rematch clauses work, all it guarantees is a second fight. But, looking at the landscape, the bottom line is, listen, what do we know? If AJ beats Ruiz in the next fight, that third fight will be the biggest thing that year. It will be much bigger than than Wilder versus Fury, fact. And you've got to bear in mind, Fury and Wilder, they're tied up indefinitely until 2022. Or at least, let me be prudent, or let me be really fair. Let's say they're busy for the rest of 2020. Therefore, AJ can fight Ruiz at the end of this year, and then have that fight lined up, the third fight with Ruiz, in the first half of 2020. And that still leaves the second half of 2020, in case Fury or Wilder grow some balls, which I think is really unlikely, because, as I've explained before, what do we know? Wilder and Fury, they're written off for this year, 2019. Because Wilder's got Ortiz and Fury's got 4 or 5 stiffs to fight. Big, fat, useless stiffs. That he's going to pay the WBO to give him a ranking, move him up 50 places, like Tom Schwartz did. Yes, Tom Schwartz, he's number 2 with the WBO. He's a fighting man, a good, honest, Christian man, Tom Schwartz. He's not a quitter, like Anthony Joshua, who's too stiff. Yeah? That's what Fury would do. But anyway, let me not get distracted on this one. The bottom line is, Fury versus Wilder, well, allegedly it's going to happen in 2020. And that there is going to be 2 or maybe even 3 fights. At worst, it'll be 2 fights, which writes off the whole of 2020. So AJ's got to find busy fights for 2020. However, whilst I think it would be best for AJ to fight Ruiz in a third fight, what we know is the WBO is breathing down AJ's neck to fight Usyk. However, how they could do it is, if AJ beats Ruiz, he could fight Usyk in the first half of 2020, and then fight Ruiz in a third fight in the second half of 2020. Because the bottom line is, there's no one else to look at. Seriously, for 2020, there's no big fights for AJ. Maybe Dylan White, but to be honest with you, that's the other thing we have to consider. The Wilder's completely locked up because he's fighting Fury, and then he's going to have to fight Dylan White before AJ gets in there. Does that make sense? So AJ's really got to be looking at this Ruiz loss, commercially speaking, assuming he wins the next 2, or assuming he can beat Ruiz, it works out lovely for him. This couldn't be, there's nothing bigger. And that's why initially my first conspiracy was nothing to do with concussion. It was to do with, I thought this was a commercial jobby, where Joshua decided to lose, and then, or Joshua planned to lose because it would make a massive fight. Because from where Joshua was sitting, Fury and Wilder ain't going to fight for 2 years. So Joshua was in a weird position, where he had loads of really high risk fights for not much reward. So as a businessman, it does make sense. You know what, AJ? Ruiz is an easy fight for us. Lose against him. Make Ruiz look good. And then, will be able to build 2 fights off the back of that. Think about it, literally. The rematch and the third fight, the jawbreaker. And the reason I say that is, if you watched, I've got my video anyway. You can look at the first video, or one of the first videos I put out after the Ruiz loss. Sorry, the AJ loss. AJ says in the post-fight in the post-fight interview in the ring, he says, "Oh yeah, this loss is going to be really good for the networks." And at the time, I thought, what? All of it wasn't making sense to me. That was the first thing out of his mouth. Yeah, well, this rematch is going to be really good for the networks. It's going to be really good from a commercial sense. And that to me was a really weird first reaction. That should be the last thing on your mind, how good it is for networks, surely. And in fact, you wouldn't even be thinking of maybe 3 or 4 months down the line, you can sit there and evaluate and say, you know, actually, on hindsight, it actually worked out pretty well for the networks. But for him, for that to be on the tip of his tongue, it's almost as if it had been planned beforehand. I.e., we've been talking about how good it will be for the network, and then it came to pass. But that's me speculating. The bottom line is, in reality, conspiracy or no conspiracy, it is good for the network. This, outside of a Wilder or Fury fight, you can't get bigger than this Ruiz fight. Some people may even argue, bearing in mind how big Ruiz is going to have, when AJ and Ruiz fight, he will have more followers on social media than Wilder and Fury. So what does that... For me, I feel that social media is a good base for commercial value. Yeah? I mean, it's a standardised base, i.e. if you look at Floyd Mayweather and McGregor, they have 5 or 6 times more than AJ does, which implies that they're 5 or 6 times bigger, and it follows like that. It's pretty much proportionate to earnings. However big your social media following is, that's how much your commercial value is. So if you've got Ruiz, he's already bigger than Wilder and Fury, which implies he's bigger than them commercially speaking in boxing. Simple. So if I was on AJ's team, that's what I'd be looking to do. So with this whole New York versus England thing, to go to the UK, fight in the UK, because you got to look at it from the other side as well. If you win, it sets up a third fight in the US, because you don't really want to be doing 3 fights in the US back to back to back. So you have to come to the UK for this next one. Put that to one side. Let's say on the worst case scenario you lose, and you've got no belts and you've got to build up again. I think you owe it to the fans to give them one last, or give them the big show in the UK. Because what I think is a bit of a fuckery if you go to the US now and lose, because Eddie Hearn's pointed out that the US has the most money. So I think if you do go to the US for this next fight and make more money and lose it, then you're going to want to come back to the UK and build yourself up again off the UK fans. I think that's a bit snidey, if I'm honest. You can't go to the US, get all the biggest money, fans travel out there twice, you lose a second time, and then you want to come back to the UK and build yourself up and start selling arenas out again. Now we want the big shows. You can't take, like I say, actually in reality, when I say we, I'm talking from a UK fan perspective. People who have actually bought tickets, people who have actually bought pay-per-views, people who have actually supported Joshua and blessed him with all the money he's got. From their perspectives, then people who are loyal and watch every fight or whatever, they're the ones who will have to pick up the pieces if AJ loses again. So I think you owe it to them, man. If you do lose, at least give them this last big show, because you'll have to build yourself up again, which will be on the back of them. They'll be the ones coming to the lesser shows. When was the last time you fought here? Well, it's been over a year now. Well, it will be. It will have been over a year since you fought in the UK. But that's my opinion. And the last thing I'll say actually is, in terms of these dates and whatnot, I think the longer the better. From a training point of view, from a mental health, or every point of view, the later the better. And it's only a 2-week window, but for me, 14th of December is better than 29th. I'll take them extra 2 weeks any day of the week. This here is vital. If AJ's got a proper training team, from my perspective, I would be taking an extra 2 weeks every day of the week. I would. Why not? There's no benefit of doing it earlier. What's the benefit? I don't think there is one. In the UK, just get this one under the belt. In the UK, no changing around, no flying around the place, no everything down the line on this one. And then you can go to Mexico for the third fight, because there's nothing else going on, as I explained. There's no other options out there. Beat Usyk and then fight Ruiz the third time in Mexico. I'll be intrigued to see what you guys think anyway.